We live in a world drowning in noise, distraction, and deception. Every screen, every conversation, every headline demands our attention, shaping how we think, how we feel, and how we live. But have you ever stopped to ask, what is all of this really doing to you? Are you growing closer to truth, or drifting further away? Are you becoming stronger, clearer, more purposeful? Or are you being pulled into patterns that rob you of your destiny? Most people wander through life unaware that the very habits they tolerate are the chains that keep them bound. They don't wake up one morning destroyed. It happens gradually, one compromise, one distraction, one surrender at a time. The danger is subtle, but the cost is eternal. That's why tonight I want to challenge you with urgency and clarity. There are four deadly patterns that you must stop doing immediately if you want to live the life you were created for. These are not small adjustments or casual suggestions. These are urgent warnings. They are the difference between light and darkness, between clarity and confusion, between victory and defeat. 1. Stop believing lies that shape your reality. Stop believing lies that shape your reality, because the moment you allow falsehood to set the framework of your life, every choice, every action, every decision that flows from it will be corrupted. Lies are not always obvious. In fact, the most dangerous ones are the ones that sound close to the truth. They arrive in whispers, wrapped in comfort, dressed in half-truths, promising freedom but delivering bondage. They tell you that you are not good enough, that your past defines your future, that the world has the answers, that compromise is harmless, that you can live without consequence. Once these lies are allowed into the architecture of your mind, they quietly begin constructing walls that trap you, distorting your perception until you cannot even recognize what is real anymore. Think about it. Every great downfall begins with believing something that wasn't true. Nations fall because they believe lies about power. Families crumble because they believe lies about love. Individuals lose their way because they believe lies about themselves. When a person accepts a false narrative, it becomes the lens through which they view everything else. And what's frightening is how quickly these lenses harden, turning into a worldview that feels immovable. This is why so many people live defeated, confused, and directionless. They are navigating life with a broken compass, one handed to them by lies. Lies shape reality because your beliefs shape your behavior. If you believe you are worthless, you will live as though you have no value. If you believe happiness can only be found in material possessions, you will spend your days chasing what can never satisfy. If you believe there is no truth, then you will surrender yourself to every passing opinion, every fleeting cultural trend, never anchoring yourself to anything solid. Lies rob you of stability. They rob you of purpose. They rob you of freedom. And the most cunning trick of all is that they convince you that they are harmless, that they are just thoughts, just ideas, just possibilities. But ideas have consequences, and false ideas are chains. To stop believing lies, you must first recognize that they are there. This requires brutal honesty. Ask yourself, what assumptions have I carried for years without ever questioning? Who told me what success looks like? Who convinced me that I cannot change? Where did I learn to define myself? Every one of us has inherited lies from the world around us, through culture, education, media, or even well-meaning voices in our lives. But the fact that you've carried them for years does not mean they are true. The truth can be buried, but it is never destroyed. And when you confront the lies in your life, you begin to uncover the solid ground beneath them. The battle against lies is not fought once. It is fought daily. Every day, you are bombarded with messages that seek to define you, manipulate you, and shape your choices. If you are not intentional, if you are not discerning, you will absorb these lies without resistance. That's why you must develop a relentless commitment to truth. Truth is not always comfortable. It often confronts and convicts. But truth liberates, while lies enslave. The question is, are you willing to exchange your comforting illusions for the sometimes painful clarity of reality? There is a deeper danger, too. Lies do not simply distort your perspective, they shape your destiny. A person who believes they cannot change will never attempt transformation. A person who believes their life has no purpose will never discover their calling. A person who believes they are just a product of chance will never recognize the sacred design within them. Lies limit you before you even take your first step. They silence your potential before your voice is ever heard. So you must stop believing lies immediately. Stop tolerating the voices that tell you you're too broken, too weak, too far gone. Stop allowing the culture to define your values and your worth. Stop repeating narratives that were handed to you by others but never tested against truth. Refuse to let deception dictate the story of your life. Instead, anchor yourself in reality, even if it shakes you at first, because only in truth can you build something lasting. If you don't stop believing lies, they will shape a reality that was never meant for you. But if you tear them down, if you choose truth over illusion, you will see clearly again. You will walk with freedom. You will rediscover strength you thought you lost, and you will live not as a prisoner of falsehoods, but as a person finally awake to the power of truth. 2. Stop wasting time on empty distractions. Stop wasting time on empty distractions, because time is the one resource you can never earn back once it's gone. Every tick of the clock is a piece of your life being spent, and the sobering reality is that most people trade their time for nothing. They fill their days with activities that promise comfort, entertainment, or escape, but leave them empty, further from their goals, and weaker in spirit. Distractions are thieves dressed in glitter, stealing from you while convincing you that you are being rewarded. They give you momentary pleasure, but rob you of long-term fulfillment. And the tragedy is that most people only realize the cost when it's too late, when the opportunities are gone, when the relationships have withered, when the purpose they were meant to fulfill has slipped through their hands. Distractions are more dangerous than outright destruction, because at least destruction is obvious. A burning building gets your attention. But distractions? They creep in quietly, they look harmless, even enjoyable. Hours spent scrolling, days lost in meaningless pursuits, endless cycles of chasing the next dopamine hit. None of these feel catastrophic in the moment, yet when added up over years, they form the very chains that keep people bound to mediocrity. That is the silent poison of distraction. It consumes your life without ever alerting you to the seriousness of what you are losing. Ask yourself, what has distraction already cost you? How many dreams have been delayed because you were too busy with trivial things? How many opportunities have passed by unnoticed because your eyes were fixed on what didn't matter? How many conversations were never had? How many relationships never deepened? How many talents never developed? Because your attention was squandered on what could never give you anything of value. The true cost of distraction is not in the hours wasted, but in the life unlived. We live in a culture that has mastered the art of keeping you occupied without ever letting you be fulfilled. Endless entertainment, constant noise, perpetual stimulation, these things numb your soul and train your mind to settle for surface-level living. And yet, you were not created for a life of endless scrolling and shallow amusement. You were created for depth, for impact, for meaning. The world doesn't need another person who can name every show released this year. It needs people who are alive with purpose, awake to truth, and unwilling to trade their potential for digital illusions. Empty distractions also breed passivity. The more time you spend numbing yourself with them, the less capable you become of engaging with reality. Your focus weakens, your resolve diminishes, and soon you find yourself unable to stay present in the moments that actually matter. You become restless in silence, uncomfortable with stillness, addicted to stimulation. And when distraction becomes a lifestyle, it doesn't just waste your time, it rewires your very capacity to live intentionally. To stop wasting time on empty distractions, you must recognize that your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you give your attention to noise, your life will reflect noise. If you give it to purpose, your life will reflect purpose. This means becoming ruthless about guarding what you allow to consume your focus. It means asking hard questions. Does this activity add value to my life? Does it bring me closer to who I want to become? Does it build me, stretch me, or prepare me for the future? Or is it simply a way to escape the weight of reality for another day? Discipline is not about denying yourself pleasure. It is about choosing the greater reward over the lesser one. Yes, entertainment has its place, rest is necessary, and enjoyment is part of a healthy life. But when these things cease to serve you and begin to rule you, they become chains. The moment you find yourself unable to be still, unable to face silence, unable to choose growth over distraction, you must confront the truth. The thief has already been at work, and you have been his willing accomplice. Stop wasting your time on what cannot give anything back to you. Stop letting your days slip away unnoticed. Stop treating distraction as harmless when it is one of the most powerful forces pulling you away from your destiny. Every hour matters. every day counts. And when you learn to reclaim your focus, to direct your attention toward what truly matters, you will begin to see transformation. The fog will lift. Your goals will gain clarity. Your relationships will deepen. Your purpose will come into sharper focus. The most successful, fulfilled, and purposeful people are not those who had more time than you. They are the ones who refused to waste what they had on distractions. They were not seduced by the trivial. They chose the eternal. They understood that every choice of focus is a choice of life. Now it is your turn. Redeem your hours. Take back your attention. Live awake, not distracted, because the longer you waste your time on empty things, the less of yourself you will have left to give to what truly matters. 3. Stop entertaining toxic relationships and voices. Stop entertaining toxic relationships and voices, because the company you keep will either build your future or break it apart. Every person in your life is either adding to you or subtracting from you, drawing you closer to purpose or pulling you further into confusion. The tragedy is that many people know they are surrounded by damaging influences yet still allow them to remain, thinking it is harmless to keep the peace or that they can handle the negativity without consequence. But relationships are not neutral. They are powerful currents that carry you in one direction or another. To entertain toxic people and voices is to open the gates of your life to poison and pretend it will not affect you. Toxic relationships rarely reveal their nature at first. They often come disguised as friends, companions, or confidants. They may even seem supportive, but slowly you begin to notice patterns. They drain rather than energize. They sow doubt instead of encouragement. They magnify your flaws while ignoring your progress. They demand loyalty but offer none in return. Their words chip away at your confidence, their attitudes weigh down your spirit, and their influence reshapes your choices. Before long, you begin to compromise who you are just to maintain the relationship, shrinking your potential to fit the comfort of someone else's dysfunction. Voices can be just as toxic as people. You may never have met them, yet they speak into your life through media, culture, or even memories of past wounds. These voices whisper lies about your worth, mock your dreams, and amplify fear. They tell you to settle when you were meant to rise. They tell you to doubt when you were meant to believe, left unchecked. These voices create an internal environment of defeat that is even more destructive than external criticism. It is not the noise around you that destroys you, but the noise that gets inside of you. The danger of toxic relationships and voices is not just in their immediate effect, but in the long-term trajectory they create. They condition you to accept dysfunction as normal, to tolerate disrespect as inevitable, to lower your standards until you no longer remember what healthy looks like. And once your vision has been distorted, you begin to sabotage yourself. You choose lesser paths because you have been convinced you are not worthy of more. You silence your own potential because you fear the disapproval of those who never wanted you to succeed in the first place. Many people stay entangled in toxic environments because of fear of being alone, fear of confrontation, fear of losing comfort. But the truth is, it is far better to walk alone on the right path than to walk surrounded on the wrong one. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to stay with you. Some relationships are seasonal, some are assignments, and some are traps. Wisdom is knowing the difference, and courage is acting on it. Cutting ties with toxicity does not mean bitterness or hatred. It means refusing to let destruction dictate the terms of your destiny. Breaking free begins with clarity. Who are the people or voices in your life that consistently leave you weaker, smaller, or more confused than before? Who are those that dismiss your values, mock your progress, or feed your insecurities? Who are those that only call when they need something but vanish when you are in need? You cannot heal what you refuse to name. Acknowledging the reality of toxicity is the first act of liberation. Then comes the harder step, boundaries. You must decide that your life, your peace, and your purpose are too valuable to be sacrificed on the altar of someone else's chaos. Boundaries may mean creating distance, limiting contact, or in some cases, walking away completely. It may feel harsh, but what is harsher is the slow erosion of your identity while you cling to relationships that are silently destroying you. The voices you entertain must also be examined. What are you feeding your mind daily? What words echo in your thoughts when you are alone? If the loudest voices in your life are voices of fear, negativity, or cynicism, then your outlook will reflect that poison. But if you choose voices of wisdom, encouragement, and truth, your inner world will grow stronger, steadier, more resilient. You cannot always control what voices are around you, but you can absolutely decide which ones you allow to have influence. Stop entertaining toxic relationships and voices immediately, because every day you delay is another day you are shaped by their influence. Every day you tolerate poison, you absorb a little more of it into your soul. But once you decide to walk away, once you replace destructive voices with those that speak life, you will notice the difference immediately. Clarity will return. Peace will begin to settle in. Your energy will rise. Your dreams will no longer feel foolish. They will feel possible again. You cannot soar while carrying anchors, and you cannot thrive while feeding on poison. Choose carefully who and what you allow into your life, because your destiny depends on it. Surround yourself with people and voices that challenge you to grow, to rise, to believe, to live at the level you were created for, and never again apologize for protecting your purpose by refusing to entertain what was sent to destroy it. 4. Stop ignoring the call to personal responsibility. Stop ignoring the call to personal responsibility, because the moment you surrender that call, you hand over control of your life to circumstances, to excuses, and to other people. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the gateway to freedom. It is the recognition that while you may not control everything that happens to you, you absolutely control how you respond, what you build, and who you become. Yet so many people live in denial of this truth. They shift blame onto others. They wait for someone else to fix their problems. They hide behind excuses about their past, their upbringing, or their lack of opportunity. But the hard reality is this: no one is coming to rescue you. No one can live your life for you. The responsibility is yours, and until you embrace it, you will remain trapped. When you ignore responsibility, you convince yourself that your failures are always someone else's fault. You point to unfair bosses, broken systems, or unkind people. And while those factors may be real, the danger is that blaming them absolves you of the power to change. If it is always someone else's fault, then you are forever powerless. Responsibility, on the other hand, shifts the power back into your hands. It forces you to stop waiting for perfect conditions and to start acting with what you have where you are right now. Excuses are comforting because they shield us from the discomfort of accountability. It is easier to say, "I can't succeed because of them," than to admit, "I haven't done what I could with what I have." But comfort is a cruel master. It lulls you into passivity while your opportunities slip away. Excuses may protect your pride in the short term, but they destroy your potential in the long term. Every time you choose an excuse over responsibility, you trade progress for stagnation. Responsibility also means owning your choices. Every decision you make shapes your life, whether you acknowledge it or not. Ignoring this fact does not erase its reality. Your health, your finances, your relationships, your growth, these are all outcomes of choices compounded over time. Some are wise, some are foolish, but all of them are yours. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you can begin to make better choices. Personal responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything. It is about recognizing that you are not helpless. You have agency, you have influence, you have the ability to change direction. One of the most destructive lies in our world is that responsibility is oppressive. We are told freedom means doing whatever we want, whenever we want. But true freedom is not the absence of responsibility, it is the result of it. The athlete who disciplines themselves to train daily is free to perform at the highest level. The person who manages their money with wisdom is free from crushing debt. The individual who takes ownership of their growth is free to walk into opportunities that others will never see. Responsibility creates strength, and strength creates freedom. When you ignore responsibility, you become a prisoner to forces outside of you. You let emotions dictate your actions, circumstances dictate your effort, and other people dictate your direction. Life becomes something that happens to you instead of something you actively shape. But when you embrace responsibility, you flip the script. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You stop waiting for life to change and start becoming the change. Yes, responsibility is heavy. It requires courage, honesty, and discipline. But the weight of responsibility is far lighter than the weight of regret. Regret is the crushing burden of wasted time, wasted potential, wasted chances. Responsibility may cost you effort now, but regret will cost you everything later. The question is not whether you will carry a weight. It is whether you will carry the weight of responsibility today or the weight of regret tomorrow. Stop ignoring the call to personal responsibility immediately. Stop handing away your power by blaming others for where you are. Stop waiting for someone else to fix what you are capable of fixing. Stop believing the lie that you are helpless when in reality you are far stronger than you think. Take ownership of your choices, your habits, your growth, your future. When you do, clarity returns. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start living as its architect. You begin to see progress where there was only stagnation. You begin to build a life that reflects purpose instead of excuses. Responsibility is not the enemy, it is the path. It is the call you cannot afford to ignore because your future depends on it. Embrace it now, before more time slips away, before more opportunities are lost, before more potential is wasted. The life you want will not arrive by accident. It will be built by your choices, strengthened by your discipline, and shaped by your willingness to take ownership. So rise, stop ignoring the call, and step into the freedom that only responsibility can bring.